Welcome to another episode of St Vincent on Told Stories. On this episode, we look at Chevron, Ron, and Atiba, three Grenadian national who sent two visitors from America to Dovecat and brought them over to St Vincent and the Grenadines on their yacht. Big ups to all of my subscribers. And if you are new to the channel, please remember to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon if you wish to see more videos like these. 4 years, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, and Martinique has always had a close relationship because we are referred to as having the best green substance in the Caribbean because of our rich volcanic soil. Our green substance grows naturally. We don't have to add a lot of chemicals. We just use natural fertilizers like pen manure and so forth. And you see, the green substance is very unique because whatever you choose at the root, it takes on that aroma. I want my viewers and subscribers to listen carefully. About 25 years ago, we had an education system where you would do an exam called the common entrance exam that would take you from the primary school to the high school. Back then, they did not have so many high schools. So, most people only got one chance to sit the common entrance exam. Some of them went on to senior one and senior two. But most of them, after they did the common entrance exam, they had to go and seek jobs because their parents refused to send them back to school. And some of the young ladies had to go and do domestic work, like wash clothes on their hands in the big rivers. And some of the young men went into construction. Then there were those who went into the mountains to grow the greener substance. Then they started to knot up their hair with something called a locks, like one Bob Marley. And they started to say things like Haile Selassie. So they looked up to an emperor from Ethiopia. And then the culture went on. But the Rastas were being treated like animals whenever the police caught up with them. They were badly beaten. There were some Rastas that any time the police transport passed through the towns and the villages, they would say burn, attack, fire, and the police would run in and do so whoop 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 with the baton all in their head. Coop 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 coop. Rasta, oh my! I make them a do Rastafari so Safari can burn a fire. Then what got wrong? That St. Vincent had the best green substance on the market. Men started to come in from St. Lucia, Barbados, and Grenada, and they wanted it by the pounds. The Rastas began to make a lot of money. They had gold chains as big as barrel covers, bangles, they would splash the black bottle all over the parties, but they made sure that everyone felt nice. So at that time, all the women were rushing after the Rastas. Even teachers, lawyers, doctors, women in high positions. You see, there were times that the price of the green substance would fluctuate. So sometimes only selling 1 pound of the green substance would fetch the same salary that some of those women got in 1 month, and they really needed the money. But the police did not like the way the Rastas were doing things. So once again, they went after the Rastas. But you see, the Rastas were smart. They decided to plant the green substance on the hills around the volcano. They were saying, you know what? The police were not fit enough to hike the volcano on a daily basis. And they were correct. But you see, the police work in a group, and they were smarter than the Far Eyes. They decided to wait until the green substance was ripe and ready to be cultivated. And when it was riping season, they went with helicopters and they would burn the green substance from the top. But there were some rastas who hid their green substance in buckets, but they became cure. But the demand was so high that even the cure was selling. But you see, the Pharaohs were faced with another challenge. There were men who were a bit rascal, and they would come and try to buy the green substance from the Pharaoh. Sometimes they got all the money to buy the green substance, but they would try to be cheeky. You know what some of them did? Some of them came and they would order 100 pounds of the green substance and give the Rastas about $5,000 up front and then tell them they would be back in 2 weeks. And when they reach back in the 2 weeks, they would tell the Pharaohs to bring another 50 pounds. But they have to come on the waters to get their monies. And whenever the Pharaohs went, some of them were thrown overboard and some of them were shaken. And the 50 pound was taken and they were dropped to shore and left with nothing. But there were some Rastas who would make it across to places like St. Lucia, Grenada, and Barbados. But everyone fed Barbados. You know, the green substance started to flood the streets of Barbados. Then the police said they had to put a stop to that. So security got tighter. They started to put radar systems around the waters. And a lot of the far rise were being caught. And they were sent to prison and given hefty sentences. One prisoner said that the Bajan police was so big and broad that one lash from the cat, you know what we call the cat, it's a strap with many whips on it, would make you faint immediately. A friend of mine told him that he was in Barbados jail and they beat him every day and every night. And every time he got one over his back, the officer said, promise us that you won't return. And the Pharaoh said, me promise, me promise, me promise. Me done me now come back, officer. What? Promise us that you won't return. What? Promise us that you won't return. So the Rastas began to cry out. And they had a sit there with the current Prime Minister. And they told him about other struggles they were facing. And it is alleged that the Prime Minister said, you know what, I found a strategy to combat the situation. And he came up with a strategy to build more schools. So in this day and age, even if you fail the common entrance exam, you get a chance to go to a high school. And you see, that was one of the best things that was ever done. Because so I was just trying to show you the close relationship that we have with islands like a Grenada. It is alleged that three prisoners escaped from a maximum security facility in Grenada. Their charges stemmed from robberies. It is also alleged that one of them was incarcerated because he touched a lady's front, and he should not have done that. So the allegations that while trying to escape, they saw a yacht out in the water. They sneaked upon the yacht and met a couple, and they demanded money from them. It is alleged that their names were Ralph and Cathy. Who knew them said that they loved life, you know. After the wife retired, the husband decided that they were going to sail around the Caribbean and he could work from the boat. You see, the men knew that they were playing with trouble because if they let the couple escape, they would run to the police and their faces would be blasted all over the news. So they decided that they were going to send the couple to Dovecat. But you see, no one is just going to sit down and let you send them to Dovecat like that. So the couple decided to fight back, but they were overpowered by the three men. The allegations that one of the men came to St. Vincent several times before, so he knew the waters, and he decided to bring the boat to St. Vincent. Someone else alleged that they held the couple and told the gentleman to sail the boat over to St. Vincent. And it was in St. Vincent that they sent them to Dovecat. But you see, these men, they don't realize that St. Vincent is one of the safest Caribbean countries in the world when it comes to protecting visitors. Men would go all out, they would give you a beating, and they would tie you up if you do anything to a visitor. So it is alleged that some men went to the boat to try to conduct a sail, and while they were there, they saw red substance all over the boat. So they did not say anything. They hurried back to shore and alerted the police. And then the police went on the yacht and caught the three men. You know, if you talk something in Shatibile, by the time it gets to fancy, you hear 10 different stories. And now, news started to spread like wildfire, saying that it was some Vincentians that sent the couple to Dovecat. But you see, that was far from the truth. It was three men from Grenada, and the police caught them and put them in prison. But while they were there, the Grenadian authorities were asking for them to be extradited. The right away was given, and the men were sent back to a higher maximum facility in Grenada. Randall Stories, I want to say that we are all one Caribbean, and I do not want to paint a bad image on Grenada because Chimen decided to send two lovely visitors to Dovecat. We can't blame the entire country. We have to blame the Chimen. Randall Stories, we pray and hope that nothing like this ever happens again. Randall Stories, we want to say condolences to the families of Ralph and Cathy.